Welcome to the Eyes of Indigo with your infinitely curious hosts, Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Our show is broadcast live at 9:30 p.m. Wednesdays. Socio-spiritual topics are laced with humor as we discuss weird stuff in a rational way. Learn more about us in our first episode, The Prequel. Shows are recorded and available on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, iTunes, and other aggregators. A keyword searchable index is at iriscarter.com/EOI directory. Share ideas and comments in the program chat or by email. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share our show. Let us know you're here by typing your hello in the comments because we are thrilled to welcome you as we begin another adventure right now.
Good evening.
Hey,
We are
I'm waiting
on the
for this.
air.
Is it? Can you see me? No. Let me try this.
I can see
again.
you.
You can.
Yeah.
Well, mine's not. Okay, let me hide this again.
Your name is on the screen. Iris Carter. My name, Margot Ross Sears.
This is
Hi,
crazy
guys.
because I can't see. I still have the other thing up. So just never mind. I'm gonna. I don't know what the hell's going on, but I can't see Jack.
It's the internet is normal. Hi, Angela. Angela Kreitzer just jumped in from Facebook. She says
Wonderful.
she can see both of us. She says.
Okay, good, because I can't see the chat or anything. Do you know what I'm going to do, Margot? It worked before. I'm going to back out and come back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I'll stay here. I'll stay here and entertain the troops.
Okay, all right, yeah, do that.
No worries. Guys, you have come to the October 11 edition 2023 of Eyes of Indigo. I am Margot. This is Iris. That's the other voice that has disappeared and will return shortly. We are your hosts, as the intro told you. I'm speaking to you from Carolina Beach right now, and Iris is at her home in outside of Greensboro, North Carolina. And tonight's topic is a fascinating one that came to us almost from a popular demand and need that we saw. So, Iris, can you, now that you are back, regale us, please? Yeah.
Yeah. And Angie, since you're out there, tell us if you're getting an echo on any of this. I can't. I'm sort of getting an echo. Again, who knows what it means, but just
I hear a very slight echo. I don't know. Angela, does she sound
normal? That new mic, and I don't know if that's picking up yours too. Oh, I know what I can do. Wait a minute.
Iris has a new microphone and therefore a new toy. Angela says a small one. Okay, there it is.
How's it now? Talk
much better. Much better.
Is it better?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Set it down. So let's try again.
Yes.
Say hello.
All right. Hello.
You sound okay. I mean, it sounds even crisper, but you're not echoing on the table. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So sorry about that, folks. Just, technical difficulties, and we don't have anybody
new at this point in human history.
Oh, good. All right. So I'll thank you. Angela says I'm louder and better. So good. I know which light to have on when I'm using this.
Charlie Mike.
Yes.
Continue mission.
Okay. All right. So
tonight's topic will come back on the screen. Yes.
It is about blocks and fears. People, we've noticed it comes up a lot, especially like when we do readings for people and we don't really have a lot of time to go into it at the time. So we thought we'd visit the issue in a show. Just when you think things might be going in the right direction, something happens every single time. Or you're trying to find a way to make things happen, but solutions are elusive. Why? Subconscious blocks, fears, and barriers can keep us from moving forward. And in this show, we're going to talk about identifying and overcoming barriers and how they serve us. yes, they can be of service to us, or they're trying to be.
Surprise! Yeah.
Yes. But before we get on topic, I wanted to address something, and I kind of surprised Margaret with it right before we kind of came on the air. I said, "Can I talk about this?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then I was like, "Click, let's get on." So I want to hit a political cesspool for just a moment with the crap that's going on with Israel and Palestine. And there's a couple of things as I've observed the goings on, and I will say this: I had a dear friend whose son, American son, worked at a school in Palestine. Hey, Dale and Jeannie, it's good to see you.
Yay.
And I met at work another woman who spells her name the same way as Jeannie does, and she pronounces it Jean. So now I'm really screwed. I can't figure out who am I talking to, which way to pronounce it. But
Stick with your honor or your majesty, and she will answer.
oh, good answer.
Slay Queen.
Yeah. But
So
anyway,
you
yeah.
have friends that worked in.
They worked there. They were teaching at a school, and the things that they witnessed, I heard about. I paid a lot of attention before when when shit was going down. Did a lot of research, wrote a blog post about 10 years ago about some of this crap. I've also watched Israel over the years and what they've done. And I think as Americans we don't understand the geographical area. And yeah, hi Heidi, and Jeannie says she'll answer to either. So yeah. um, but okay, so here's the thing. Palestine is about the size of New Jersey.
Okay.
Okay. And there's lots of desert between them and Israel.
Okay.
Palestine has, I don't remember exactly, like 2 or 3 million people
Wow.
in their little Jersey size area.
Jersey is very, very tiny, by the way, for those of you that aren't familiar. Okay.
Yeah. And they had to fight to be able to keep the land they had. And Israel said, well, okay, you can stay there. Because Israel's got this vast
Swath of land compared to Palestine. Yeah.
Israel owns the ports and things around Palestine. Israel owns their infrastructure. They can cut their power off when they want to. They can cut their ports when they want to. They can, you don't get any supplies, you don't get any food, you're under our control. Okay. They've done this for decades. Jewish people, you hear about them wanting to go and they kind of do the same thing that Mormons do in a sense. Mormons do their little 2-year trek when they hit a certain age. Well, at any age, people of the Jewish faith go and make their trek to the homeland to serve.
Pilgrimage.
And yeah, it's a pilgrimage. And they'll serve, like, a lot of times they serve in the Jewish army. I mean, the Jewish army, the Israeli army. And that means a lot. So a lot of their army is civilians in essence, that they're, and they go through certain training and all, but like I used to work with a woman who, she said, her husband like did the army stuff, and she was in the army, but she was doing the cooking and preparations around camp, so to speak.
Support. Right.
Right. And and they consider it an honor to serve and that sort of thing. Well, the Israeli army, and I keep saying Jewish, and I'm not knocking the Jews. They've got, their beliefs, whatever, that's fine. I get it. That's Mecca for them. Whatever their beliefs are, I know that for 99% of the population, none of what they do is intended with ill will. Okay, I get that. But their army guards Palestine borders. And they put up blockades and they hold the Palestinians. They won't let them cross.
Hostage.
Yeah, they hold them hostage.
Prisoners,
The
enslaved.
friend of mine that had a son, yes, the friend of mine that had a son that was working there was traveling. I don't know if it was for his job or why, but he was trying to go out, and he's an American. And some high, like general or somebody way up in the army said, if you have trouble leaving, give them my number. Just give them this number and tell them to call me. And the guy said, oh, it'll be fine. I don't want to have to bother you. No, you hold on to this. And he went to the crossing and was trying to leave, and they pulled him out of the car. They were harassing him. And he said, just please, just call this number. And he had to beg them to call. And they finally did. And then they go, oh, okay, you can go. And it was, and they turned completely around their attitude. It's a complicated, long time war between the two countries, like a Cold War. But here, and the other thing is, what gets me is, well, there's something else I was going to bring up. But anyway, half of the population is children, okay, in Palestine. That's one thing I wanted to bring up. The other thing is, there are two factions. They're not all Muslim. A lot of people assume they're all Muslim. They're not. But what has happened is they had a governing body for Palestine. And then Hamas came in. And if you think about all conflicts, even here in America, remember how Martin Luther King was very peaceful and trying to do things the right way and asking for civil rights and yada, yada, yada. Then here comes Malcolm X and the Black Panthers and all them. And suddenly the government goes, we'll deal with Martin Luther King now. They did it when women wanted to vote. The passive women were not getting heard. So the fighters came in and then they went, whoa, we'll take the passive. It's like sometimes you have to have that
contrast.
Yeah. Well, so you had this passive faction in there running the government. Hamas is backed by Iran. They are terrorists. I don't doubt that. And they're the ones who are putting force behind what the people want. And imagine if you had been suppressed for decades.
That's
Not
a couple
allowed
generations. That's 2 or 3 generations. Yeah.
Yeah, that the younger generations aren't having it anymore. They're like, no, we're pissed off. And so they lash out at the armies that are at the guards. The guards will do things like just go down the street and just harass the residents. Children can be outside playing and they'll come up and bully them and things like that. The other thing is that I saw pictures of is, like in Palestine, they had like these street markets, where like these houses, and then there's a lane in between them, and they'd have these little market places set up. And what they did was Israel allowed Jewish settlements in the upper apartments where these storefronts were at the bottom.
Okay.
And the Jewish people would throw trash, pee on them, whatever, at the people below until they
Passive
eventually
aggressive. Yeah.
close up their shops. They also, where these people might have at least, they look out their window and they can see, the desert scape or whatever. Israel is building settlements right up against the border and just like blocking. So they're trying to make it miserable for the Palestinians. So even if you can get around the fact that you're essentially being held prisoner in your country, when you look out your window and all you can see is Jewish settlements or police officers patrolling and harassing you at every turn, it's like a caged animal and you're poking a stick at them all the time. Okay?
Something's going to break.
Something's going to break. Now, if y'all will remember a couple of years ago, there was some missile fire from Palestine, and everybody was freaking out. And the whole thing was their missiles were going, but landing in the desert because there's so much space. They weren't hitting any targets of populated areas of Israel.
Right.
But then Israel struck back and killed a bunch of people because it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, 3 million people in the size of New Jersey, right?
Right. So now all of a sudden they have the capacity to target bomb Israel and kill 30,000 people. And how did they in Palestine, if the borders are so secure, cross into Israel to kill people on the streets and behead the children and all these stories that are coming out of there?
Oh, okay.
Something's not right.
That's not it. Yeah, that part doesn't add up. Yeah.
One, I think it's a distraction. What else is going on? And two, these soldiers that invaded Israel had to come out of somewhere else. They couldn't have come from Palestine.
You want to talk about all the soldier age men that are being imported to Great Britain, to the United States, to Australia, to Germany and France, blah, blah, blah. All foreign soldier age. No women, no children, no old people, no babies. All men, age 18 to 30 something. I'm thinking the same, possibly, don't know.
And then
The same movement.
Iran is the ones that are supporting Hamas. Hamas has people in Iran. So couldn't those people have come right into Israel and they're fighting for their friends? But now Israel's like telling the Palestinians to get out because they're going to obliterate Palestine. How are they supposed to leave when they're told they can't leave? What are you going to do with 3 million evacuees?
Yeah. So you're reading about conflicting stories that are illogical. That is typical chaos based on BS. Yeah, political news chaos designed to incite fear.
And also, if you look at the Amnesty International, they have a lot of information about this. Look it up. They talk about what Israel is practicing is apartheid measures.
Yeah, that does sound familiar.
It is apartheid. And what people automatically assume is if you're against Israel, you're against Jews. And people assume that if you're for Palestine, you're for Hamas. And I'm here to say I'm not for Hamas. I feel bad for the Palestinian people. And I think the Israeli government are asses.
You're pointing out
another. There's a whole lot of distraction going on, and it's another division in our population, and they're trying to make it fit other definitions. So I wanted to throw that out to help people understand a little bit more of which some of these people. Harvard had a group speak out against the Israeli government and pro-Palestinian. And then it was like a group that supports Palestinians. And then the Harvard administration had to come back and make an apology. And I'm like, you don't get it.
Politics.
Yes. So yeah.
Part of what you just explained, thank you, was good information. Two things. Sidebar, Dale Stacy took the time to write a really cool commentary in brief on a private group message about who's actually fighting behind the fighting, so to speak. And I'm really summarizing a very long concept. I would love to hear his take even further, or just eavesdrop on a conversation between you and him. That would be fun. But that's one thing. The other thing I wanted to point out was in your speaking, you actually ran into a literal trap, a verbal trap, a psychological verbal trap that I believe has been artificially set up to do that. In other words, what I'm pointing at is people equate the concept and word of Jewish to the religious term of Jewish. They equate it to the political term of Israeli. And they think Jewish equals Israeli, Israeli equals Jew. And they're two different things. Israeli is a political title. Jewish is a religious / spiritual title. They're not exactly the same thing. They can be the same thing, same person. One person can be both. But when you're discussing politics, you're talking about Israelis. When you're discussing religion and philosophy, you would probably use the word Jewish. And I do believe our cultures, our newscasts are using them interchangeably. Therefore, people default to that, creating more angst and distaste towards one or both of those groups because of the subliminal attachment verbally.
We wouldn't put up with it if people assumed that all Americans were Baptist.
Oh no. No, that would be
or Catholic or whatever they chose,
Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes they assume all Americans are Christians.
Yeah, that's it. That's a better.
It is a predominant religion in our country, but there are millions and hundreds of millions of non-Christians here.
Well, and considering Christianity worldwide is only 30% of the population,
that's a lot, but it's still a minority.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest and felt like I needed to put that information out there just to give people food for thought. Look it up. Look it up.
If you want to look into this, look it up. But you know what? You described a socio-political block based on fear. So it's actually very, very relevant to the show. We're going to bring it down to a more microcosmic level of a personal nature rather than a global one. And talk about personal blocks and fears and ways to get past that stuff. And the intriguing hook you threw out earlier, Iris, was how these blocks and fears can actually be beneficial, that they're trying to teach us something. Please continue.
Okay, so let's see if we can make some sense of this. All right. When I talk about blocks and fears and things like that, most of the time they're subconscious. And sometimes they're conscious and sometimes they're irrationally conscious, and we may think in a logical way, we think very positive and, yes, I had a bad experience before, but that doesn't affect me moving forward. I can move forward and I can do this well. But on the inside, there's a whole lot of shit going on with your subconscious. So imagine, this is just an example. Let's say you're a child and you observe your parents fighting and your mom you observe that your mom continually tries to lay low so she doesn't catch your dad's attention, because she knows if she catches his attention or he notices something she's doing, it's going to piss him off. And it's either going to be physical or mental abuse. He gets mad, it scares you as a child, that kind of shit. So, subconsciously, in observing and processing this information, your mind says you want a man that doesn't give you attention, because men that give you attention will hurt you.
They might try to control you or limit you.
Yeah. Yes. So then you get to dating age. You find somebody, you fall in love, and good guy, everything's going great, and you're married, and then he's like watching the ball games, and he's not paying attention to you, and he's into his own stuff. And then you're wondering, how come he doesn't pay attention to me? And it's because you don't attract the attention because of what you learned when you were a kid. And you thought you would be happy if he kept his nose in his own stuff, and you're not happy. And it's like, so then it's a fight, and you don't know why you're miserable, but you're going, well, he's not the man for me because he never gives me attention. And you end up leaving him. And then every man after that, you're like, I find these nice guys, but then they quit paying attention to me. Why do I keep dating the same type of guy over and over again? And so you have to dig down and figure out that your subconscious is doing that for you, because it wants to protect you and keep you safe, because you don't want a man, and you're deliberately blocking these people, and you're sabotaging the relationships so that they won't do what you want because you don't want the attention.
Right.
So it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, well, every time I do give you attention, you back
Pull
away,
back.
or yeah. So why, what do you want? What do you want from me, Judy? I don't know what to do, and then it's like, damn, you're crazy.
Yeah.
I can't deal with this. 1 minute you want my attention, the next minute you don't. I don't know what the fuck you want. I'm getting out. And then you're like, oh, nobody loves me. They won't pay attention to me. Okay. It's because you sabotaged yourself. And logically, you don't realize what's going on, and you're not recognizing your own actions. And you recognize, well, that was my parents, that's not me. But you have to
Your parents
pull
did it, you're gonna do it. Yeah.
And these
And
beliefs
to some
are
degree.
deep-seated. Yeah, they're stuck. And your subconscious won't release the beliefs until it knows that you're safe and that you have come up with the right solutions. So it takes sometimes, and that's what I do in theta healing, is I help people dig down and get those beliefs, and let's change them, get rid of them, replace them with new beliefs. Another thing that happens is definitions. As we talk to people, just you and I will talk, and you'll throw out a word, and I'll go, well, what do you mean by that? Because my understanding is it's this. And you might go, well, I think it means this too, and that. Oh, okay, yeah, and you look at Webster's dictionary, and they have, a ton of definitions. But when you're talking to the universe, they don't have Webster's dictionary to see all the different meanings that you have. It's very
black and white. Yeah.
Yes.
It can be abstract, but in language, it's very definitive. Yeah.
So when I ask for things, I want to be happy, Creator, God, whatever, please bring me happiness. And then the same shit keeps happening again and again. Is my definition of happiness the same as Creator's?
I noticed that you download that phrasing a lot. Download Creator's definition of. That's one of the first moves you make. It's brilliant. That's a brilliant phraseology.
You can feel, and it might you might not know what the fuck it is, but internally, and your subconscious does, and you can feel that tingle, and sometimes you suddenly get a clarity. What is joy? What is happiness? Make my definition the same as creators. Give me creator's definition and I want to understand what I'm asking for. Or before I ask for something, maybe I should know what I'm asking for. So when I get it, I can recognize it.
Also a problem. Yeah.
Or find a better word to ask for what I want. And the other thing is, who are you asking for the information or the gifts or the manifesting? If you're asked, and this is, maybe it's a belief on my part, but it makes sense. If you're asking anyone less than the highest of all beings,
you've
God,
got a variable. You're bringing in an unreliable variable somewhere.
You're bringing in a third party that can negotiate.
Ooh, that's clarity. Good. Yeah. Negotiate
why are
a
you
different outcome.
Yeah. Do you really want a middleman and everything? Do you take a middleman with you when you get by a car? Do you take a middleman
Not
with
on
you?
purpose. Yeah.
The salesman becomes that, and you always want to go, what in the hell are you telling the boss in there? Every time you go, well, let me go ask my manager.
No, they're not. Yeah.
Yeah.
We know.
And I've walked out when they do that crap to me. And wait. You couldn't fix it 5 minutes ago. Why can you fix it now? So get rid of the middleman. Talk directly to the source, because that is unconditional love. It wants what you want. Which is the all that is, which is everything and everyone on that high level wants what's best for you and wants you to have what you want. And they will give it to you. So if you aren't clear on what you want, you're going to get something that's unclear. If you're not,
right.
if
you're asking for unclear. Yeah.
And so you've got to be clear, and you've also got to get rid of your garbage and make sure,
attachments, garbage that are attachments to the outcome. You gotta, yeah.
And all those deep-seated, and most of the time when something's not happening, you think, I've cleared all this, I've made my needs and wants specific, and I am there, I am talking to God, and I know that the all that is knows what's going on, and you're still hitting a wall. It's probably some deep-seated fear. So think about
fear of success, fear of worthiness or lack of worthiness are the two biggies I've dug in and found it to be. I'm sure there's more. Yeah.
Think about, somebody who says, I want money. One of the biggest things that comes up for people, why am I not getting the money? I need money. I want abundance. I'm asked for abundance. I've cleared all my shit. I'm still not getting abundance. Well, what would happen if you were rich? Well, I could pay all my bills. I'd be fine. I could have the house I want, the car I want, and all that stuff. Really? What else could happen? What else would you be concerned with if you had a lot of money? Well, I don't know anything about money. I don't know how to invest it. I'd have people clamoring at my door wanting money. My kids would be bugging the hell out of me, wanting me to give them money all the time. People get rich and then they get depressed. What's up with that? I don't want that in my life. Well, guess what? All those fears and that confusion
and resistance
is just telling the all it is, well, you're not ready. You don't really want this money.
Right.
If you had a bathtub full of $100 bills right now, what would you do? Oh, shit, I need to get to the bank. I need to hide that before somebody breaks into my house and steals it. Really?
That's a bunch of negativity all at once. Yeah. Yeah.
And the same with whether you want fame and fortune or love, if I had somebody, oh, well, I've kind of been living on my own for a while and I kind of know my own patterns. I don't know how a new person's going. I'm afraid that if they come in, I'm not going to be the person they need me to be. Or maybe they're going to be too naggy and hangy on, but I really want to love in my life. Really?
You don't say, literally. You're not saying. Literally.
You're fucking mind. What do you want? If you don't know what you want, the universe doesn't want. And all that inside talk, it just confuses it. And it just means that you don't have your fears in order and you don't have your beliefs in order and you don't have and all the what was it? Fears and doubts and
Fears, doubts, blocks, values.
block. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a block. It's a block.
You're reminding me of a quote I've heard a few times that just every now and then it applies again. And it's a humorous truth. And it said, and it goes, the one thing that God really hates is prayers with claw marks on them. but only if and only if that, and I'm worried about that. You put it out there and you let Providence / God / Creator / all that is manifest it with you. Claw marks is resistance, and you're describing classic claw marks, i.e., fears, blockages, resistance, largely subconscious. Yeah.
And sometimes they tell you because in a way it is protecting you because you're not ready.
Yeah, it's doing its job. Whether you like it or not, it's actually doing its job. Yeah.
And if you, and you need to examine all that's going on the inside before you get slammed with that $1 million or the stuff that you can't handle because.
And it's coming.
Yeah.
Another conversation. Yeah. Yeah, you got a clean house for that, folks, mentally and emotionally and physically. Yeah. That's a lot of, abundance, whether it's money or love or job or whatever. Abundance means you're asking for a shitload of energy to be dropped into your life. And it can wear the label of money or the label of, more dogs if you're into that, or more, more relationships or more cars or more health, whatever, more love, more music, more whatever. That's a lot of energy being dropped on you all at once. If you're going to call out the tune, you better be okay with learning how to do the dance. Yeah.
Heidi says,
Heidi has a comment.
I say the word but with a big eraser for whatever's in front of it. And now that's how I catch myself in contradiction. Yes. I saw somebody one time say, instead of but, say and see if your sentence means the same thing. Usually it does.
That's a really good.
With you, but I'm just not sure. I want to go out with you, and I'm not sure. Yeah, that's clarity.
That's a lot of clarity, and it's a good communication. Absolutely. So it flew out of my head. I was going to ask you a question relative to what you had just brought up a few minutes ago. Guys, if you're wanting to ask questions or clarifications, please feel free to jump in here and ask. As always, you're invited to comment and type in here. So,
yeah, if you've got any blocks you're dealing with, let's look at what's going on.
Well, you know what? Let's go down that road. What is a block in your life, guys, that maybe you've recognized, or a pattern that keeps coming to the same dead end? If you feel like summarizing that in the chat.
And we'll even give you a quick read.
We'll throw, definitely. We'll throw in some intuitive advice along with that about there's two things. One, how to get past that block. Two, like Iris pointed out, what is that block trying to help you with?
Okay, Heidi says, talk more about the fear of success. Ah, that's a good one.
Thank you. You reminded me of what I was talking about. Yeah, fear of success and also worthiness issues or deservedness issues. Fear of success. Iris, what pops in your mind?
Fear of success, a lot of times people, they, in their subconscious, like, especially if you had a parent that like that you looked up to, but like my dad was a workaholic.
Yeah.
That defined success for me. And he was a type A personality, had his first heart attack when he was 45 years old. He lived till he was 79, but he had multiple heart surgeries, brain surgery. I mean, he had literally surgery from head to toe throughout his later years. He was sick. He was a thin man. He ate relatively well. It wasn't like he was obese and had issues that are caused by that. But he was a heavy smoker. It was like concrete in his veins, and he was a workaholic.
Stress.
And
all those are stress reactions. Yeah.
Yes. And
anxiety and stress reactions. Yeah.
So I, if I really wanted really wanted to be successful, I have to work on all that stuff about what I envision as success, because what goes along with success? If you're successful, you have to work hard. You have to be
You have to earn it.
You have to earn it.
That's a deservedness issue.
Yes.
That's where it relates. Yeah.
Do I deserve it? Do I want to do all the work for it? If you're successful, you're over people. Do you want to be a people manager? There's lots of things that people see as success. Being successful might also mean being rich. Do you have money issues? Do you have any of those issues we were talking about that are blocking you from, well, if I'm successful, that means I'll be earning more money. Whoops, I don't want to have to deal with the financial
responsibility of our finances. Yeah.
Yeah, and understanding what responsibility is associated with, and understanding too that you can choose, that you have the right to have the type of success and the type of income and the type of responsibilities that all of that typical shit that we see in movies and television and see in the news about people who are successful. We can have success without having to have all that crap.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't believe that's possible, you're going to have all those fears and doubts coming in that's going to block you. Get the definition of success.
Exactly. That's where I was going next. Your point, you're circling back around to one of the basic tenets that you were talking about earlier. Define success. If you think you might have a fear of success, yes, what Iris just whispered real quietly. Remember, it's always the little quiet whisper in the back of your head that's the highest truth. Guess who just whispered? That was Iris. She said, define success first. Yeah. Figure out what it is you think success is, and I bet you'll find something scary that you think is true about success. It means more responsibility. It means my social structure will change too much. It means, I'll have to deal with things that I'm not prepared for yet. No, if you're in the flow with the universe also provides and sets you up to learn to have all those things in place before or as they happen. So that kind of circles around to people that have deservedness issues, people, which is all of us to some extent, and people who have fear of success, again, which is all of us to some extent. It all ties back to, it's interesting. It always, ultimately, if you dig behind that, and what causes that, and sometimes it's generational, sometimes it's multi-lifetimes. It all comes back to how solid or not do you think your relationship with your highest power is or is not?
Another thing, it can be genetically. Some of these beliefs are
Yeah,
genetically handed
yeah,
down to you, and handed down from your ancestors' experiences. And
right.
I will say, what's interesting is that science. I have seen articles where science has proven
Mm-hmm.
that if a family member has trauma, so think about somebody who survived the Holocaust,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
it changes something in their DNA, and
Yeah,
then it gets passed on to their children and their grandchildren
that
and future
change gets
generations.
passed on. Right.
Yeah. Now, if trauma can change your DNA, why do people find it so hard to believe that spiritually we can change our DNA?
Because that stuff
And
can
we
get
can.
changed at any second by almost anything.
Yes.
We got some more commentary.
Yeah, Randy says some genetic hand downs suck. Yes, it does. And
Preach
sucks
it,
out,
brother.
but it can be changed. If it's genetic, it can be changed. You don't have to
Right.
hold on to it. And if it's like an ancestral belief thing that's come down, my grandparents grew up lived through the Depression, and my mother grew up in the Depression, and all or right after the Depression, and people that lived through World War II. And so there's, that saving everything, and, well, don't throw away that tin foil. You need to clean it off and fold it and save it and use it again. And, and all this shit that
And
you're like,
again and again and again.
little
It's
titter
a
tatters, and why am I doing this? I don't know. So then, it's like I'll find new ways to conserve. I'll find better ways of doing things. And then what I love, the best experiences I have had is when I've been in meditation and working on some of this stuff, and I see all my ancestors grouped behind me, and they're all going, what are you doing next? And, and like I'll be talking to creator and getting ready to make some sort of major change. And they're all going, oh, I mean, it's this collective. And I'm like, you're going to like this. And I'll ask creator to pass along that knowledge to the ancestors. And then they all go, oh, and they all get enlightened, and it flips it back, and it also changes it for future generations because all those beliefs are now shifted. And so it's really
backward and
cool.
forward. Yeah.
Yes. And that is a cool thing to watch happen, just the ripple effect.
A term for that you often hear is ancestral healing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But it's also future healing as well. It goes both ways. That's fantastic. That's an excellent way to describe that. Absolutely.
Where
Thank
you
you.
work on stuff and you see your own children change because of it.
You got stories for that, I bet. I know I do. I've seen my mom do stuff that changed. Yeah, that affected me that way. Here's an interesting theory that's a little bit of a sidebar, but it's related to what you're talking about. You're talking about trauma that happened to your ancestors, changes their DNA, and through inheritance, genetic inheritance, their descendants take that DNA mutation with them, or they inherit that DNA mutation. Another way to look at that is reincarnation, under the theory that you are your own ancestors reincarnated.
Yes.
So that karmic wobble in your energy can also be interpreted as coming through that way.
Yes.
Because you're energetically bringing it forward, because great grandma was also you, and so was great grandpa, and so was grandma, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can bring it with you through reincarnation. You don't have to. You're not obligated to, but a lot of people do. They think they're going to learn from it, and they do. But that comes with a lot of strings attached.
Yeah. And again, that's how some of that stuff serves you too, is okay, it's time for you to get over it and change it. Let's see what Randy says here. He's got fear of lacking enough, but when obsessions like shopaholic take charge, when is lacking good? Oh God, there's a score in there, Randy, for us to process. First of all,
do you want me to make a comment while you think?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Because I know you're thinking, and I see those wheels turning. Fear of lacking. When is that a fear of lack good for you? A fear of lack. I mean, the sensation of being afraid of lack has, like the other ones, has a protective value coming forward in that it's trying to help you conserve resources. If we don't have enough of this, then what we do have, we need to conserve because we may not have enough, which is the definition of lack.
And some of that's ancestral.
A lot of that is ancestral because one of the earlier comments that I thought about just came back. Under this belief of lack and deservedness and fear of success is a universal lesson that needs to be unlearned. And the correct version of this lesson is the universe conspires to help you. Another way, it is a benevolent universe. The universe never conspires against you. It is never malevolent. Beings in it can choose to be malevolent or conspire against you. But the universe as a whole, which is a much stronger source, conspires to help you. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think that existing is a process of always being at war, of defend, defend, defend. That ties into the fear of lack and all the others we've mentioned. Yeah. So Iris, what was your take?
Yeah, I'm getting a strong thing that it's history and genetics and that sort of thing that's causing this. I'm afraid I'm not going to have enough. And so when you can recognize and relax and allow the universe to provide for you, it will. But you have to allow it. You have to ask for it, and you have to be
free will.
Free will. Yes. And there was something else in there. If the worthiness, if you feel like, one of the blocks to allowing and the universe to provide for you is feeling, well, why am I deserving? Other people need stuff. I don't want to ask for much. I'm just lowly little old me. And what?
That's a worthiness issue. That's an expression of worthiness. Yeah.
There is enough for everybody to have everything they need and want.
I don't have a bell. Can you ring that one in, Iris? I'm in a hotel.
It's on my other desk. Oh, wait a minute. Just did you hear it?
It made no noise. Your microphone did a great job of muting it. So anyway, we saw it.
Yeah. Okay.
But what you just said is an absolute truth, of course. Yeah. And some good comments are rolling in. Heidi says, Heidi says most people definitely live in lack or scarcity mentally.
And it's amazing how many people think or have some sort of belief because either people have told them they are not worthy or they think it's too much trouble. I'm not going to, I don't want to bother anybody, including God. I'm sorry. You're not bothering God. Okay.
That is so sweet and useless at the same time.
Yes.
Oh, I don't want to be a bother.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up his time. What do you think God is? Let's go back to that definition thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay,
So
Angela. And not to mention all the social cultural conditioning to exacerbate all of those ancestral lack fears. We've been trained to continue these thoughts, not to attempt to escape them. Yes. And
bingo.
yep, and Heidi
Heidi's
is laughing.
laughing. Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, because it is. I mean, we pass it on just like, especially because most of us have parents or grandparents that were in the Depression or in World War II. And that set up or reinforced our lizard brains that
That have those
constantly have to
fears.
fight and struggle.
Survival.
We've been
Survival
taught
mode.
that. Yeah, and it's like, no, we don't have to be in survival
In
mode.
survival mode.
We
Yeah.
can actually give ourselves permission and recognize that we are worthy of having a relaxed, enjoyable life, free of distress, free of confrontation and evil, and we don't have to acknowledge the bad things that seem to
That
infiltrate
seem to
our
work
lives.
against you. Yeah.
Yeah. And the more you ignore or refuse to give energy to those things that disrupt your life because you recognize
That's
you don't need them anymore, the less they come in.
the less power they have.
Yeah.
There's a vernacular phrase for that. God don't make no junk. Everybody, everything is worthy. No junk is ever made. Really? You think the creator made anything? Anyone? That's just junk? No. Humans make junk all the time. Not above that. So we're getting near the end of our hour. So Iris, can we recap some of the solutions that we've described in detail during the show tonight? People sure do make junk. Yeah, they do. That's called distractions. Yeah. We're not only are we distracted, but we're trained to distract each other excessively.
Randy says, so could it be that shopping is self-medicating by having things when I don't need them? Yes. This plays closely with feeling worthy, which may be based in life indoctrination. Ding, 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 ding.
You associate worthiness with material possession
Yes.
on some levels. Yeah.
So recognize
You're
you're
not alone.
worthy.
Our society encourages that.
And
Yeah.
recognize your decision when, if you truly believe you're a shopaholic, evaluate that and recognize that it's not the things that make you feel worthy. It's your own insights to yourself. Nobody makes you feel any particular way. You're
You choose
choosing
it.
your own reactions and your own feelings based on your own beliefs. So examine, why do I feel like I'm unworthy and why am I trying to pay myself off? Why am I trying to buy myself off? Because that's what you're doing.
That's
And what could you do to do something different? Instead of shopping, is there something else you can do? And Randy agrees. Yeah. Find a hobby or something else that gives you pleasure.
That's gratifying. Yeah.
It's gratifying. That's an immediate resource for you. But overall, first of all, it's making sure that what you're asking for and what you're saying, that your definition is the same as creators. Recognize the link that you have directly. You can go direct to the source. You don't need a middleman to have this stuff happen.
Go directly to source. Be clear on your definition of terms. What else?
Ask yourself why. What either it I wrote down, because it's like you're either going to ask yourself why or what would happen if I had what I wanted. Why
What
am I
are your
afraid of this?
expectations? Yeah. What
And
are you
what are my
afraid of? What are your
expectations?
expectations?
and really dig down, keep
Yes.
asking, like, oh, if I'm rich, I can pay off my bills. Well, keep going. What else? And don't ignore those little dark thoughts that come out, because it's those little dark thoughts and the little
That are holding you up.
yes. And also ask yourself, when did you learn this behavior or this belief? When did you get that belief?
What else was
And
going on, and who else was going on around you? Yeah.
right, a lot of things, I can hear another person's voice as soon as I recognize, why do I believe this way? When did it happen? What am I hearing when this happens? And it's like, oh fuck, I know that voice. That was an ex-husband, or that was my mom, or it was. And do you really believe what it's saying? No, I don't believe that. I
Just
don't
a
need to hear
habit.
that anymore. Shut it up. Get rid of it. Reset, and recognize that you have the divine right to be a happy human being.
Without it,
And
so without censorship, without
yes,
without negativity. It's a benevolent universe.
yes,
It's going to help you have that. Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
One last recommendation I'd like to make that's in alignment with concretely helping people get past these kinds of blocks, which we've identified originate in our minds. All right.
Mm-hmm.
How we think, what we believe in our minds. There is an excellent, short, fast, clear, and very old, not well, very old, 25 years old book that's very popular that you might have overlooked. And if you've read it in the past, you definitely need to read it again because it'll mean something different to you now. The Four Agreements. The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, Ruiz. Iris, feel free to type that on the screen. The Four Agreements. We've recommended this book before.
Yeah, I don't know if I've got it.
In a nutshell, it tells you concrete steps to manage that judgy little voice in your head. It helps you identify it. The book helps you identify it, identify what it's talking about, and how to rearrange and organize and manage your own thoughts to get away from and heal that judgy voice and influence that's inside your own mind. And then you can start acting on it too. But the book is very, very simple. The steps are very, very practical. They're very easy. And it's a fast, short read. You can even do an audiobook. There's YouTube videos showing you how to do it. People have done videos of spin-offs and takeoffs from it. But so do it the way you want. Video, other coaches' versions of it, or straight from Ruiz, the book yourself. The Four Agreements with an S by Don Miguel Ruiz. By the way, him and his son wrote a sequel called The Fifth Agreement, and that's fascinating too. However, don't skip steps. Stay in there. Try the Four Agreements, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's very practical, easy advice to follow. And it's life-changing. And like I said, the book reads differently every time you pick it up. So if you've done it before, don't overlook this. Go pick it up again. Yeah.
Definitely.
It's one of those books that you can actually flip, and just let it fall open at a chapter. And that chapter is going to smoke you out of the water with how accurate it'll be for what you're trying to figure out right now in your life. It's one of those kind of cool books. Yeah, as well.
Want to remind everybody before we go, don't forget you can go to iriscarter.com and look at the Eyes of Indigo Heal the Healer Summit.
March 21 through 24, Emerald Isle, North Carolina. Yeah.
And the early bird registration is open and good through the end of
November 30 is the last day for early bird registration.
Yeah, so we've already got registration coming in, so don't get left out. Want to get y'all there if we can. Randy, you're going to save so much money from not being a shopaholic anymore, you can.
You're going to have fun spending it towards things that move you forward.
Yeah.
But if you'd like to see a cool synopsis and a lot more detail about the event last week, we did a sort of a preview episode and did a preview of the website and the location at Trinity Center. Go check it out.
Yes. Yeah. Next week, we are going to look at frustration, despair, and loss of purpose. So, we did blocks and fears this week, and next week is that frustration, despair, and loss of purpose. And that came about more because of something I saw online, and I saw somebody talking about, what am I alive for anyway? Because everything I try just turns to shit kind of thing. And so we're going to talk about that. And then we're also going to talk about releasing the attachments to outcome on the 25th. So
yeah,
hope you'll join us for that. And Randy says we'll do.
Good chatting again. I need to reread this. Namaste, y'all.
Yes.
Dale and Jeannie said thank you for the aloha. Will do. Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you so
much.
Namaste.
Good night.
Thank you for joining the Eyes of Indigo with Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. Music is Arcadia by Kevin MacLeod. Find us at facebook.com/Eyes of Indigo, on YouTube under @Iris Carter Enterprises, and on various podcast aggregators. Copyright 2023 by Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears.